tall boy, but grew up becoming the biggest fashion brand in the world that anybody would want to reckon with. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about no other person but Louis Vuitton, right? I checked his net worth currently and I realized that he's over $30 billion rich. That name is $30 billion rich, and they are currently going to 200 and something years in the business. The last video we talked about on business, I highlighted that most Nigerian businesses have not been able to outlive their founders, but in this Louis Vuitton's case, the brand, the business outlived its founder. Okay, now let me take you back to the story of how Louis Vuitton grew up and then got the world's attention. Now Louis was born in 1821 into the family of Xavier Vuitton. The father is a farmer and also a hat maker, right? He assisted his father assisted his mother. He was a good boy, but like they say, fate struck and then he lost his mother at age 10. This was at exactly 1831. Now his father had to remarry. The lady that he brought to the house, remember we've already said Louis Vuitton is a very hardworking boy. Now when this lady came to the house, she was very cruel. Now you can imagine what she was doing to Louis that he described her as cruel. At some point he had to leave the house at age 13. Reason is because he wants to stay alive, right? So when he left the house, he was just walking from Mount to Marakel. Found himself working for this man, Monsieur Marakel. Now there's something I want to tell us. You see, when in this modern day, when I don't know if people have seen some ladies that they'll tell you, I'm going for maybe a weekend somewhere, I'm going for 3 days weekend, blah blah blah, and they want to pack. You see them carry different kind of eco like 5, and you'll be like, where are you going to? Calm down. During the ancient time, during Louis Vuitton's time, the bags were many. People were not just carrying clothes, they were carrying their bed. They had a box for carrying bed, carrying frame, people just took whatever would make them comfortable in their trip. So when Louis Vuitton started working for Monsieur Markel, he assisted elite aristocrats. Of course, the elites were the ones that were able to afford these things. The aristocrats were the ones that were able to afford. Why? The peasants were the workers. They were the ones working for the factory, producing box, helping these elite individuals, the aristocrats, load their loads or put their loads into the box. And then when these aristocrats get to where they are going to, there's always another peasants there to help them offload. So that was how they were living in that time. And Louis was just from the lower class in the society. So while things was going on, the normal housemanship, let me use the word housemanship, for anybody who is learning work is usually 7 years. But guess what? Louis worked in this man's office or in this man's factory till he was 32 years old, like 32. So he stayed for so long, and while he stayed there, he was now regarded as the best staff or the best worker the man had. A lot of people got to know him because of the man's influence. Like, he was the oldest and the best staff. And there's something I also want to highlight. Then the kind of box they used to make is this arc kind of shape box. It wasn't flat. So later on, at age 32, Louis Vuitton had to, in Nigeria we call it freedom, right? He did his freedom and then he left his boss and went to start up his own factory with the little money he has gathered. It was now then he invented his own idea. Somebody said hey. So it was there he started his own idea. The first thing he did was the normal arc box they used to do. He brought out another one, right? And that was to do something flat and smooth. Now the advantage of that flat box is that when water touches it, it will just slip off. Do you understand? But it had disadvantage. Due to it was made of leather, if it comes close to anything that smells, it can easily absorb the smell inside the box. So imagine your clothes was inside that box and something like fish was placed close to that box. Because it's leather, it will absorb the smell. By the time you bring out your clothes, it will be smelling fish. So that was a disadvantage Louis saw while working for Monsieur, right? So when he started his own brand, he was not now using leather. Are you seeing it? He started using canvas for his own. And while he was using canvas, he was not producing boxes with arc. He was producing boxes that were what's it called now, that were plain. Now at first it was like, how does this work? But people realized that water could not even enter their clothes, right? The way the other box was trying to prevent water, this box too, all you need to do is to open it, and whatever water that is there to go. Another thing he did, he started producing boxes in different sizes. So if you're buying Louis Vuitton's box, you will see the bigger box, then you see the next one following it, you see the next one following, until so people wanted to buy the complete box. He gave people full package of their box. So it became something that any rich person in this society always want to have that box. In fact, for you to tell the world that, oh, I belong to a wealthy genius, I belong to the wealthy class, I belong to the aristocrats class of the society, you want to have that box in your house. It was a big flex. Louis did not end there. Then there was nothing like handbag, right? There was nothing like handbag, but Louis started inventing handbag. And at first, he was like, oh, how is this thing going to be? But somehow he was able to penetrate. So females started using, Louis Vuitton. And another thing again, he started inscribing aristocratic, their family name. He started putting it on their luggage. So it was so unique. He kind of customized it to, for them. And everything seems to be going so well until a world war broke out. And Louis' factory was somewhere at the outskirts of the city. So when the war broke out, his family was his family now. His factory was the first place they invaded. Like, they broke the place, they threw bomb into the place, everywhere is scattered. So him and his son George Vuitton had to move to the refugee camp where hunger, starvation, oh Jesus, it was so bad. You see, now wealthy people and peasants, everybody, they start staying in refugee camp they were managing until the war was over. Everywhere was scattered. When Louis came, there was nothing to even write him about in his factory. But somehow he quickly took his saving, moved into town, got a shop. With his saving, he started again. Are you seeing it? There's something about building. Aside the thing you are building, it builds a character in you. Imagine if it was not the one that built the first business, where is he going to have gotten this courage to have built the second business? In a few months' time, with his saving, he was able to get into business again. He was, doing his business again. And again, he was able to also buy his things cheap. It's after war now, so things are just very cheap everywhere. So he bought and started business again. And before a few months, his business has flew again. His business was doing well. They even started giving him a lot of excellence award. At this point, his innovation got even better. His son George Vuitton brought in an idea, and that was the lock box. The usual lock every box used to have was prone to theft. Like, anybody can just steal from it. But with this lock box that was invented, like, it was so fancy, so fine, giving so shimmer, that kind of vibe. And it was his son George. So while they were still, now trying to celebrate the invention, people were now, guess what? Now the world wanted to like Louis Vuitton. Another thing he did during this time that the world was already getting the attention, or his business was already getting the attention, was that he created a manual. Once you buy his box, the manual is going with you. Do you understand? Once anybody wants to start up distribution company for his brand in any part of the world, his manual, that way, once you take up the manual, you are just seeing the different kind of box. So as soon as you are ordering, you don't need to come and make requirements from the picture, from the pamphlet, or from the book. You already see what he has, and you make your order and it will be delivered to you. So just right there, immediately they started the manual stuff. More orders were coming in. Louis died. He died at age 72, and up to date we still do not know the cause of his death. But Louis died, and then his son had to take over. The business. Then guess what? While the son was trying to find his foot here and there, another war broke out. Hi, somebody say what? But again, it's almost as if him too, being that he has been with his father all through the business. When the second war broke out, they started again, push another narrative into this time, and they were just bringing in more. Another thing, after the Second World War, they reinvented George Vuitton and his own son now, Gaston Vuitton. They now changed. Remember that the bags they were doing before, they were customizing aristocrats' family name on the bag. This time around, they had to start doing the products in respect to their father. So every of their products they did, they added LV, they added LV, which is Louis Vuitton. They started adding it. So people were like, oh, why is this? Well, it became, a symbol of class, LV. And before we know it was already sitting well. Later again, George Vuitton died. His son Gaston Vuitton took over. So it's just a great book. I enjoyed myself particularly reading how you see business, regardless of the world, regardless of the competition. You see some persons who look like, oh, we want to work with you, we want to buy shares, want to set up, and they have their own wicked intention. You see a particular rich aristocratic family trying to steal from a poor man, because he was literally a poor man who tried to break into the wealth class. And so you see this particular person, because he feels he's wealthy, he wants to take that business from him. So you see a whole lot of things play out. They did their brand in such a way that it was very, very difficult for any brand to just copy what they have. So I gave this book particularly a thumbs up. So like I said, this month we have been talking about fashion, and if you'll be wondering the kind of the names of brand we've talked about before, you could go and check our previous videos. I bet you will love them. This is Smash Book with Miracle Chisholm, and one of the beautiful things we do on this channel is to talk about beautiful books, inspiring books, books that have won award, and books that have the tendency of winning award. We also spotlight heroes. Yes, a lot of persons are heroes, but living heroes, and those that passed out before we even got to know about them. So lastly, if you know you have beautiful stories, you have ideas, you have thoughts that you feel you want the world to know about, you want to document them as a book, please feel free to look for a link around this video, either at the comments or you check my bio, and please feel free to reach out to us. One of the things we do at My Creative Will is to help you turn your ideas into a full-fledged masterpiece, into a full-fledged book. So I'll be waiting to see you on board. Do not forget to subscribe. If you are a returning viewer, you know how we roll. And if you're a first-time viewer, a warm welcome. We love you. We love you. Welcome to the tribe. And we hope to see you in our next video. Till I come, keep printing in life. Bye.